Good morning, lovely people. How's everyone doing? I'm Coops. Welcome to the Quick Take. As always, with Quick Take, want to hear your comments. Thank you so much for joining us on your coffee break this morning. And yeah, heartbreaking one yesterday. What can we say? But my overall sentiment is it's like not that deep. You know, Newcastle are absolutely flying at the minute. Really, really, really quality opposition. We played a very intense game just on Thursday. So quite a tight turnaround, especially to go all the way up to the northeast. And yeah, I think we look good. The manner of the defeat is why it's so heartbreaking. Especially with the penalty and then the last minute and how defiant our defense had been. So yeah, it's just one of those. It's a bit of a bitter pill to swallow, but there are lots of positives that I want to take from yesterday's match. First of all, I thought Leno once again was exceptional. He's proving his worth time and time again. And I learned the other day that you have to take this with a pinch of salt because sometimes these websites aren't all that accurate. But he's actually our top wage earner this year, Bernd Leno. And I remember being quite surprised when I heard that. I was like, oh, really? Okay. So obviously a quality keeper, come from very high caliber opposition in Arsenal. But he's just proving his worth time and time again. We're still in sixth as well. Let's not forget, we've not dropped any places. I thought Diop as well coming in for Tosin, bar the last minute where he was caught ball watching, and obviously that led to the goal. I thought he had a fantastic game and has proved like really coming to his own in this Fulham side and becoming like a very important player for us. Kazawa, he's getting match fit. I didn't think he was brilliant to begin with, especially first half. I thought he looked really, leggy. He just looked like he was blowing, to be honest. And first half, I thought, oh, he's got to come off, because I don't know whether he's going to be able to last the 90 minutes. But second half, he really grew into the game, and that suggests to me that he's developing some kind of match fitness. He's getting up to the player that we know that he can be. And also the fact that we could just go toe-to-toe with one of the best sides in the league. You think about the games, there's been some discussion about how we fare against the top six. So narrowly lost against Manchester United, last minute goal. Narrowly lost against Manchester City, late goal. Narrowly lost against Arsenal, late goal. We're going toe to toe. And you see the way that St. James's Park celebrated yesterday. That shows that they see beating us as a real, no small feat. It meant so much to that crowd. And it was the same with Arsenal. It was the same in Man City. We're not these minnow whipping boys that have come up and aren't, ready to give a good fist of games. We were unlucky. As a big nose monkey, I got a real scare there when I looked at your profile picture. I thought, oh god, I've been had here, but thankfully it's just an exotic monkey nose. But yeah, we were unlucky. Really were. To be honest, I think the more concerning thing is the nature in which we're conceding these late goals. So 4 of Fulham's 7 Premier League losses have come from goals that we've conceded from the 85th minute mark. And our last 3 defeats have all come via that manner. That for me is much more concerning than the fact that we're losing. It's one element of our game that we really need to address moving forward, especially if we're going to want to, dare I say it, challenge these European spots, which I think we're perfectly capable of. Apologies in advance, guys. I've got a bit of a stinker of a cold, so if I sound a bit gross, do forgive me. What else have I got in my positives? Yeah, we're still in the European spots. Also, looking ahead to Monday, now is a really good time to play Spurs. They were shit yesterday against Arsenal. I don't think anyone could argue with that. They really, really did not look good. They've got to go away to Man City on Thursday, and then they're playing us on Monday. Now, it was a very good time to play Chelsea. It's a very good time to play Spurs, So Callum Richardson said, providing Spurs lose their match against Man City, then we could go above them up to 6th with a win against them. I think we got up to 5th, if I'm not mistaken. I think we're currently sat in 6th. But yeah, very good point. You know, what else have I got here? Yeah, it was gutting yesterday. Is that like make no mistake. The thing that really, I mean, it was a good game. I thought from the second half. You know, Fulham, although we didn't challenge the goal all that often, I thought Mitro looked a bit tired again. It was quite exciting. You know, we were defending really valiantly. I thought the ref was shite. Robert Jones. My God, that was so frustrating. And we're going to talk about the penalty because we have to come to that, obviously. But I thought the foul that Dan Burn did on Andreas Pereira was more of a penalty than Bobby Decordova-Reid, which I also thought was a penalty, by the way. I rewatched the highlights before doing this video, and he had his arms all over him. It looked to me like a stone wall, and they said that they checked it on VAR at the time as well. I was like, yes, here we go, penalty. And he said, check complete, not given. I was like, what? Really bizarre. And then I know Marco Silva in his comments after the game said that he felt that it was a red card for Dan Burn. And then, you know, Newcastle down to 10 men, penalty. You think that could have changed the course of the game. And then in the next passage of play, Bobby Decordova-Reid goes over under the penalty, under the challenge of Trippier. And that was really clever by Bobby. I thought that was a fantastic piece of skill. You know, you see so many step overs these days that just aren't, you know, you're in loads of space and it's just showmanship. Like that is a perfectly executed step over. And very, very, very clever. And yeah, brilliant bit of skill from Bobby. Right. Okay. Now it's time to address the elephant of the room. Do we have to think about having a new penalty taker? So with that miss, sorry, Mitrovic became the first player to miss 3 pens in a season since Pogba and Sigurdsson in 18-19. And we're only halfway through the season. Now, that is a bad record. And obviously, everyone in the fan base absolutely adores Mitrovic, thinks that he can do no wrong. But I think it's fair to say that when he steps up to take a penalty, given his record, you're not filled with confidence. It's a difficult one. We were talking about this with my friends who I was watching it with yesterday. If you say to your number 9, I think you're not, you know, give it to Pereira, you're not the one to take penalties. Like that, if you don't have trust in your number 9 to put them away from the spot and you make that decision, you take the penalties. I think that sends a bit of a message. And I don't know whether it's worth the hassle of having that awkward conversation. I think it should come from Mitro, basically. I think perhaps Marco says to Mitro, look, we missed a few penalties here. Work on them in training, as you know, stay behind, do extra sessions. You know, if you're really, really confident that you're the man to take penalties, then it's yours. But if you've come to the decision, maybe it's not for me, then we can think about giving it to someone else. But I don't think you can take it off Mitro. I think if Mitro wants to give the role over to someone else, then that should be his decision. That's just my opinion. I'm not saying it's right or not. But I just think it sends too much of a message if you were to take your, you know, out and out striker, take the ball off him in that situation. Kazawa, yeah, as I said, I thought he really grew into the game second half. It's good to have that strength of that. You know, this man's played for France, PSG. There's obvious quality there. He's actually second on our wage list after Leno, according to this website, which I found very surprising. So he's a player of quality. We need to be getting the most out of him, and that just comes with game time, you know. And the more game time we can give him, the more up to speed he'll be. The better. I think we missed Robinson's pace yesterday, down that left hand side. And I mean, I'm not sure whether Kazawa has pace, but I feel like he just needs to get match fit. And I thought he really grew into the game, but poor first half. Yeah, I feel Mitro is more impervious to pressure than Pereira. He's just bad at pens. He should practice. Yeah, exactly. Just give him some time to practice. Hopefully he'll come good. But I mean, yeah, yesterday was disappointing. Late goal. I also thought that Marco maybe invited a bit of pressure with the substitutes when he brought on Tosin and Dan James. We were already under the cosh there, and then when you bring three centre backs on, I sometimes feel like it can cause a bit of havoc in the box because nobody really knows their role. Like whether they just become a go, and it creates space because it's assumed that your partners would be covering you. So I mean, Diop really caught ball watching. You know, Callum Wilson, who I thought was lively throughout the game, he was really unlucky not to get a goal. To be honest, he always seems to turn it on against Fulham. I don't know. I don't know why that is. He just pulls it out of his lot. And then I seem to remember like when they beat us at the Cottage, he did all that to like the Fulham supporters. It's like, what, we don't care about you. Why have you got this random beef against us? But yeah, back post into Isak and then goal. And Tosin again, kind of caught in no man's land. It was just poor communication and tiredness, I guess, which I think comes from the fact that we played on Thursday. But I tell you what, Jen, we need to get used to that if we're going to be in Europe next year. You know, the old Thursday night, Sunday night turnaround. So you know, maybe it's good practice for next season. Timothy Clark says, I'm for sticking with Mitro. He stuck with Fulham and we have the liberty to repay that. Yeah, I agree. As I said, I think it should be on him if he wants to take penalties or not, you know, as our number 9. Reed stands on Trippier's foot, never a penalty. Interesting take. I mean, for me, my opinion was I thought it was a very clever piece of skill, but if the shoe was on the other foot and that was St. Maximan on Tim Ream, would I be thinking it's such a stonewall pen? I think I'd probably reluctantly say yes, but maybe feel like it's a little bit harsh. But my take is it was a good little piece of skill. But yeah, as I said, really a lot of positives to take from yesterday. We've got a big old rest now until we face Tottenham on Monday. I thought Paulinia looked tired. Mitrovic, even though he was coming back, looked a bit tired. I think we just need a bit of a refresh, you know, a bit of time off. Fantastic time to play Spurs on Monday, as I said. They've got to make the long trip up to Newcastle, up to Man City. Yeah, and they're in a bit of bad form. They're going to be looking at that game thinking, "Oh, that's a real stinker to come up." We do not want to be playing Fulham right now. So yeah, I'm thinking back at the famous win that we got against Tottenham in the FA Cup. Moussa Dembele getting a brace, I believe. Like we can do them. We can do them at Tottenham. I think we're due a win against them as well. So I'm certainly looking forward to that. And yeah, thank you to everyone who's tuned into this quick take. Once again, I'm sorry I'm a bit coldy and gross, but you know, c'est la vie. And 3 points on Monday. Yeah, thanks for everyone who's listened. We'll catch you in a bit. Sammy is recording a podcast later today. So if you want to got any questions, burning questions, then do head over to Twitter and get them in. But until next time, you whites.